This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
All right, Place to Be Nation universe, we are back for our final WWE pay-per-view reaction show of the year, TLC. I'm your host, Chris Zellner, joined as always by my co-hosts on these shows, the Oracle of WWE, Devon Hales. And Devon, this was a long show.
Yes, it was. It was a good show, but it was gosh, I mean, if you include the pre-show, this was a 5 hour.
It was longer than Survivor Series, is what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah. Yep.
So
very long.
Yeah, it was, and they follow it up. Right now, as we're recording this, they're playing the first episode of, I guess, the Edge and Christian show's new season. My God, what a show this is! So, definitely, everybody needs to check this out, especially the opening of the show with Jeff Jarrett.
Oh yes.
So, this is something else. This had to be some type of psychedelic drugs taken in the process of making this show. Good Lord. But anyway, there was none taken for this show, I tell you that, for me and Devon, so you can at least know that. But anyway, we probably needed some after we got through watching TLC, because my goodness gracious. A lot of matches on this show. So let's begin, shall we? The pre-show actually had 2 matches. So we didn't get a lot of insight from our panel, which may have been a good thing, because our panel was Coach, Booker, Sam Roberts, and David Otunga.
God.
Who actually did some announcing on the show. Byron wasn't on the show, so Otunga was in the role he was supposed to be in anyway. Announcing on SmackDown.
Right.
So we got a lot of David Otunga on this show. A lot of eye fucking the camera, too. As only he can do. But anyway. Our first pre-show match was for the Cruiserweight Championship, naturally. Buddy Murphy defending against Cedric Alexander, another rematch of their series. And this is a strong match. You know, these two guys can't have anything but, I think. I mean, they always work very well together. Crowd, I mean, this show was in San Jose. So they're 3 hours behind us on the East Coast. So when this match was taking place, it was 3:20 in the building. So very early in the afternoon. And the 49ers are playing at the same time. So, yeah, you had that going on as well. Anyway, the crowd got into this match, though. They won them over, and that's another case of that happening with the guys for 205. They win the crowd that's there over with their work. And those guys worked their asses off. And just standard fare. I mean, a lot of the same stuff you normally would see from these guys. And Cedric hit the lumbar check, got a near fall. Murphy come back, Murphy's Law, got the win. Another strong match between these guys. But I feel like I say this every time we have something going on Cruiserweights, no matter who it is. We've got to get some new blood on this show. And some new people challenging for the title. So your thoughts on that and the match?
The match was very good. The match was very good. These guys have really started to win the crowds over, as you said, at these big main roster shows, and it's nice to see. I think the big reason is they finally got the right guys there to pop the crowd and to get the crowd going, whether it's Murphy or Ali or Cedric. Those are kind of the top 3. Those 3 guys have really elevated the division, and they work their asses off, and the crowd really responds to them, no matter where or when they work. Because this match started at 6:20 Eastern time, 3:20 Pacific, as you mentioned, and the crowd was very into it. Yeah, this was a very good match, and I definitely agree about them needing to sort of re-energize the 205 Live division and put more people in it. They brought in Mike Bennett, and I like Mike Bennett as a heel character, and I think
They
he's a
need a
solid
baby
worker. But
face.
they need to do more. They need to bring some people up from
Well,
NXT.
they need a baby face.
Yes, yes. I'm not sure who I'm trying to run through my mind who they could bring up. I mean,
Gargano.
yeah,
Um,
they could bring up Johnny. I think he would thrive on 205 Live. I don't think he would do particularly well. Um, moving on up to them to Raw or
well, it
SmackDown.
depends. Depends. It
It
depends.
does. It does.
But Gargano would work.
You know
I've
what?
se-
Zach Ryder or Tyler Breeze.
well,
You could
Tyler
bring one of
Breeze
those guys.
definitely needs something.
Right.
Um, I've already. I mean, the Undisputed Era's already talked about moving up there as a group eventually. So maybe
Right.
that'll happen. But and who knows if they'll be face or heels? But anyway, I mean, they'll. I think they could do some really good things on 2FI Live if they want to make it a more important show.
Right. Right.
And I mean, there's other people that they probably could find, from NXT, that could do something to help out. But yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
always a strong show.
if they sign Kushida,
Well,
he's not a bad option.
yeah, that's another one. Kushida is definitely somebody who, when that becomes official, he's definitely somebody that could be in play, no doubt, no doubt. So don't be surprised on that one. But anyway, I mean, this show's always a great show.
Yes.
It's the easiest show to watch of all the television shows they put out there, pretty much.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
Always good wrestling matches. So yeah, it's good to see these guys, at least get out there and show their wares off to the crowd on the pre-show and whatever. So that's that. All right. Next match was the guitar on, I don't want to say a pole, but guitar hanging match with the ladder. Ladder match for the guitar. Elias versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley, of course, with Leo Rush at ringside. Not a lot to this match. It was fine for what it was. Leo got involved. Leo had a big time frog splash after the match where it looked like he hurt himself when he hurt Elias. And then Elias got a spine buster on the ladder by Lashley, and well, he had a interesting post match, but yeah, this was fine for what it was. Lashley, I much rather have Lashley in this role than we had before. I think him and Leo do really good together here. Leo can get a little bit too annoying, but I think that's part of the act. And Elias is definitely much better as a babyface. The fans are into him, and it definitely works. So that's that. But creative hasn't really done these guys a big favor lately. I mean, there's stuff you can work with, but they haven't really helped them out a whole lot. So thank God Elias is over. That's all I gotta say. So your thoughts on these two guys in the match?
Yeah, the match was fine for what it was. They kind of it was kind of a tastemaker for the ladder bumps and the big bumps that we would get later on in the show. Um, so in that regard, I think it was actually positioned well on the card. Because it's that's the match. I mean it was not an important match by any means. So it was a good place to have a match to kind of sell the TLC gimmick for the people who might be watching on YouTube or whatever. It was good in that regard. Yeah, I mean the match was fine. The Lashley Leo gimmick is definitely working, I think, and it's definitely a gimmick that Lashley's thriving in, and Leo as his mouthpiece has been very good. Lashley doing dueling promos with Roman Reigns and like
Lashley's
you know
sisters,
yeah,
the
so Sami
Lashley
Zayn,
Kevin
yeah,
Owens feud.
that stuff was bad. It was just bad. And this is a lot better fit for Lashley. So I definitely think that it's a plus for him. Um, but yeah, I mean, the match was fine. Um, and like you said, there really isn't much going for these guys right now. But Raw's been in a pretty bad funk as of late. So
On purpose, no matter the way they
tomorrow,
may look.
tomorrow seems to be a pretty big show from the looks of it. So maybe some things will at least get interesting or re-energized. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Raw thing later on because it's interesting how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. This feud will continue, I'm pretty sure. God
Yes.
knows it has to. All right.
Yes.
All right, we start with the main show. And they had the Mixed Match Challenge Finals. And this match actually aired on Facebook, just like the other Mixed Match Challenges. So, yeah, you got a taste of it if you watch Facebook. You don't have to pay for it. Don't pay for the show. Pay to watch this match. And as we got R-Truth and Carmella against Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. R-Truth, God bless him, man. The guy, he this is like his 7th or 8th lease on life in the company. He always finds a way to make whatever he does entertaining. Carmella, since turning babyface, has been so much better to me as a character, and everything has worked out great for these two. Jinder and Alicia were there to do their job, and they did the job. And yeah, it was quick. It was fine for what it was. The right people won. And then we got the promo after the match where they were talking about everything they were going to win, and both of them win number 30 in the Royal Rumble. So, which assuredly means R-Truth will get beat up and somebody's going to take a spot. And then we got the vacation. All expenses paid vacation to anywhere in the world. So Carmella was all excited, thinking they were going to go to somewhere like Paris or Rio or Barcelona. And then R-Truth said, no, we're going to WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. So, yes, you know what that means, folks. There will be skits in Titan Towers. So be ready for that. And Carmella wasn't too happy, though, about that news. So, yeah, I mean, Truth is something else. And my question to you, Devin, is Truth one of these guys who never gets enough credit for being as entertaining as he is? And your thoughts on the whole match?
As far as the match goes, I thought it was a super fun opener, and it was actually pretty sloppy at times. But it didn't really matter because the crowd was so into it, and the match was worked the perfect way and in like at the exact right length that it didn't matter. But yeah, this was a super fun match. Right people won. Crowd was great. The post match was a fun little bit. Yeah, R-Truth never gets enough credit for how he's kept himself over as a character over the years. He's found new life several times in the last 10 years, and I mean, people don't often talk about it enough, but that 2011 heel run was incredible. When he's smoking a cigarette, lights up a cigarette, or when he comes out dressed up as a Confederate soldier. Like he did some incredible work in his 2011 run. I mean, hell, he got the main event, a pay-per-view against John Cena and The Rock in a tag match, a big four.
Yeah, him and Miz, Golden.
Yeah.
Oh, Golden Truth. What was the
Awesome Truth.
Awesome Truth? That's right.
Yep. So I mean, he
7 years ago.
Yes. Yeah, he's been he's one of the best character mid card, undercard, comedy, whatever workers they've had this decade, and he deserves all the credit in the world for it.
He's one of these that probably is going. He could have a job for life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's definitely one of those guys who'll be an ambassador or an agent or something along those lines here in the next few years. I'm not gonna lie. I'm looking forward to these WWE headquarters skits because Truth is great at the comedy. So I'm actually
His
legitimately
timing.
looking forward to this stuff. And typically when WWE does skits, it's like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like, oh God, here we go. But I'm actually looking forward to these because I have the trust in Truth to be funny and be entertaining. So I'm actually excited for this stuff.
Truth's timing, his comedic
Yes.
timing is great. So that definitely helps him out in every way in this. So yeah, should be fun stuff. So and it's odd that we had an opener like this because usually your WWE pay-per-view opener is like a work rate match or something to get the crowd going, and this was totally
Mm-hmm.
different. So a different touch here than what we normally get.
Right.
Now, what our normal opener would have been is the next match probably. Three-way for the SmackDown Tag Titles. The Bar defending against the Usos and New Day, and New Day's representatives here were Xavier and Kofi. So Big E on the floor, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but oh well, that's what you get sometimes. Um, good match. Uh, I expected more. I don't know about you. I'll get your thoughts on it later, but I expected more from these guys. Maybe this was TLC and stuff like that. They kind of toned it down per se because it wasn't a gimmick match. But but yeah, I mean it was still a good match. Cesaro looked strong here. He got a giant swing. He was just moving great. Um, Kofi got to do his spots. Usos looked great. Sheamus just nailed Xavier with the bro kick. It's good stuff. It's expected between these two teams. But again, kind of on the short side, which is understandable because there's so many matches on this show. And it wasn't that match that like I said, it could have been. So, Bar retained the titles as well. Can't forget that. So, thoughts on the match and your feelings on how the finish was and everything.
The match was very good. I was pretty pleased with the match. I actually liked the strategy and I think they did a decent job of putting it over on commentary actually of the Bar trying to keep the Usos out of the match, and trying to do that throughout the match. And that sort of prevented the Usos from getting a lot of shine, but they did have the big super kick party moment, which was fun. Um, and that's really when the match got hot, is when Jay and Jimmy were flying around doing their stuff, and having those exchanges with the New Day. But yeah, I actually enjoyed that little bit of strategy from the Bar. Yeah, the match was good, but I actually think it was probably intentional that the match was what it was. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that the agents and the wrestlers kind of knew that this was TLC and they weren't in a gimmick match and there was a lot of show left and they were just going to kind of have their work rate match, work hard, have a good match, but not necessarily go out there and go balls to the wall, which I'm fine with. I kind of agree with you. It's the Xavier Kofi team is fine, but Big E's always the sort of the ace in the hole for New Day in terms of quality. Um, but Kofi and Xavier both did fine as a team. But yeah, I mean, this was a very good match, but I definitely think it was an intentional, go out, have 10, 12 minutes, have a good match. But this isn't going to be something that is going to be a classic or a balls to the wall type of match. It's going to be one where you have a good match, keep the crowd invested, and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, makes you wonder where they're going to go next with the tag division, and because
Yeah,
these
it
three teams
does.
have been going at it, and there's really no other team on SmackDown of note.
No, there there
Nothing.
really isn't. Nothing at all. It's weird. kind of.
There's talk of the shakeup thing. There needs to be a major shakeup on
Yeah,
both shows.
let's hope so.
God, I mean, it's getting too repetitive in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
All right, next, Braun Strowman against Baron Corbin in a TLC match. Of course, the story was if Braun didn't win the match, then Baron Corbin would become the full-time general manager of Raw. The way everything's been going, including the pre-show, where Corbin was acting like he was acting, and it was so obvious that he was going to lose. It was just a question of how it was going to happen. Heath Slater was the referee, so you're thinking, okay, he's got his hired gun referee in there. And will Braun come out? Braun does. Place goes nuts. Braun's in his sling. So you're thinking, okay, how are they going to smoke and mirror this one? So Braun gets up there and gets on the mic and says, in these matches, there's no disqualifications. So I can have help. Amazing. Amazing stroke of logic there being used by the creative team. And all of a sudden, all the people that Corbin has wronged on Raw in recent weeks, so all this stuff paid off. Well, except for the revival. But Apollo Crews, Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, and Finn Balor was at ringside with chairs. Then Heath Slater took his shirt off, his referee shirt off, and threw it at Corbin. Corbin ate some chair shots. He ducked out. And as he was about to get away, here comes Kurt Angle. And Angle has grabbed a chair, and he gives a couple of chair shots to Corbin. So Corbin comes in, eats a bunch of finishers, and then Strowman comes in, puts his foot on Corbin. Slater puts his shirt back on, counts the 3 count. Corbin's done. Braun wins. Braun now gets his Universal title shot against Brock at the Rumble. All's right in the world. And Vince McMahon will announce the new authority figure on Raw on Monday night. This whole thing's been funny. Because on Monday, they had Seth Rollins and Braun had this segment where, I mean, basically Braun is playing the role of Vince McMahon in real life.
You mean Corbin? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Braun, Corbin. Excuse me, Corbin. And Corbin's playing the role of Vince McMahon. So everything's getting blamed on him when it's Vince. But the way they played this whole thing up is, I mean, it seems like to me that they were taking the show on purpose for this angle. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but the way everything is coming off and the way they're doing this, where Vince could come in and save the day, he was the guy that's, in charge of this, that's mainly what this was doing. This was to further that angle. It's like, why would you do that? But they can do what they want to do, I guess. It is what it is for them. They got nobody to knock them off, so at the moment, so they can call their own shots. But I don't know. I mean, it's just amazing to try to put on some television that's not very good, all because you're trying to further your own angle. I don't know. What's your thoughts on this whole situation?
Everything's so meta now that it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. This was actually a tremendously executed payoff, and it was actually
very
great.
Well done.
It was great. It was very, very well done. I'm not a big fan of giving this guy credit, and I don't know if he was involved, but I kind of have my speculation that he probably was in some way. This feels like a Paul Heyman book segment. Am I wrong?
I mean, this
seems like something Heyman would book, because I'm always reminded of those ECW, kind of like the double dog collar match or the.
Well, this is what this was. This kind of reminded me of Jim Cornette in The Last Night of Smoky Mountain.
Yeah, there you go.
Where everybody hit their finishers on him, including the heels.
Yep. Yeah, this was tremendously done. and I have to give them credit for that. It was very, very well done. Um, but I do agree that it's been very bizarre. And it makes you wonder a little bit about what was going on behind the scenes the last 2 months. And if this was intentional, part of me thinks that's not the case at all. Part of me thinks it might have been. I don't know. But as I said, everything's so damn meta these days that it could definitely be the case.
Well, the one thing we know for sure, Roman's leukemia changed everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So that one was something thrown on him.
Yes.
So who knows? And Braun getting hurt is another thing that
Right.
definitely was different.
That definitely affected things. But I do want to say my two favorite parts were the pop Heath Slater got when he took off his ref shirt,
Yeah.
and then when Kurt Angle looked like he was about to, when Kurt thought it wasn't forgot that it wasn't the Attitude Era anymore and almost hit Corbin in the head with a chair.
Well, we got one of those later. Yeah, he had to fought him in the shoulder.
Yep. But yeah, that was an extremely fun segment, and I have to give them credit for that because it was very, 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 very well done, for sure.
And you know what? To Corbin's credit, he's been performing the best he's ever done.
Oh, he's been very good, and he's had good matches. I mean, the Rollins TLC. I know why the Rollins. I thought they had the match for this reason. They had the Rollins TLC match on Monday because Raw wasn't going to get to have their TLC match. That's why they did it.
There you go.
That's exactly why they did it. Other people said it, and I thought the same thing on Monday. I thought they're having this match so that the Raw people can have their TLC match because they won't get to have the TLC match that was originally supposed to happen in full, on tonight. So that's why that happened. Now, some people complain about it. I was actually fine with it because, I mean, it is what it is. But and going back to Corbin, he's had great matches. I mean, the Rollins match was real good, and the Roman title match that was very much like a sports entertainment Attitude Era like match was a super super fun. Back in what was it, September?
Yeah.
That match was real good. I mean, he's good. I like Corbin. He's very polarizing, and probably a lot of people dislike him probably more than the people do like him, but I'm actually a fan of Corbin, and I actually think he's pretty damn good. And I'm with you. He deserves a lot of credit for putting everything into this role for sure.
Yeah, because look where he was. I mean, when he was, on SmackDown, when he had this hair and
yeah,
shit.
Yeah, terrible look.
Yeah. He definitely has been reborn in this character, and I'm definitely curious to see where they go with him from here. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed him. I mean, some of the stuff was done, wasn't that great, but he was kind of like a truth in a way where he was trying to make it work,
Right.
in his own way. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who gets named general manager. But I think it's going to be Kurt Angle pretty much. But we'll see. We'll see what Vince does. So that's intrigue for Monday Night's Raw. All right. Next, we have a tables match. Natalya versus Ruby Riott. Of course, there's been some controversial angles built up for this one, using the death of Natalya's father, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, as a backdrop. I know some people have not been very comfortable with that, but obviously Natalya signed off on it. So, hey, if she said it's fine for her. Ruby had the table with Jim on it, so we had that. Boy, I tell you, Liv Morgan, that table up off the apron, Jesus Christ, she went flying fast, and just destroyed a table. And then Sarah Logan got put through a table, so that got rid of them. And then this left Natalya and Ruby. Um, this one kind of went a little long, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about it, but Natalia, I mean, they were fine. Nothing wrong with the match. Fine. It was pretty decent. Uh, I definitely want to see Ruby get out of this situation, move on to something else, because she's one of the best workers they got, and they need to really spotlight her. So hopefully she'll move on to something else. But Natalia won. She put Ruby through the table with a power bomb off the top rope, and middle rope, excuse me, and put her away while wearing her father's jacket. So, and then she put his sunglasses on after the match. So Natalia, after just being beat on and beat on and beat on and beat on, physically, verbally, emotionally, she gets the win, which was the right finish. So, your thoughts on this whole situation here?
The match wasn't all that great. I think it went too long as well. There were some good parts. Liv's bump was amazing, and still might have been. Well, there were a couple bumps in the main event that were that we'll talk about. But other than the main event, yeah, Liv's table bump was something else, man. That was straight out. I mean, you know what? She basically did a Foley bump to a table.
It was very Foley-esque, yes.
I mean, that was basically like the Foley bump from um oh God, I know what it is. Mind Games, right? Didn't he take the bump in that, or was it Mind Games? He did that,
The
or was
Shawn
it?
match?
Yes,
Yes, Mind Games.
right,
Head
right, and
games. Head games, Mind Games, one of them.
Mind Games. And didn't Brett take that bump in the Davey match too, or was it the? But both of them took that match. But I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of uh, off base. But yeah, that was totally insane. I also really liked the clever spot where Ruby got out of the sharpshooter by pushing by like basically using the Jim Neidhart table to knock over Natty. That was a really well done clever spot. Yeah, I thought this was it wasn't all that great, but it was the right person won. It was another great babyface payoff. You forgot one important detail, the
Okay.
Ruby Riott decal, the Ruby Riott decal on the table.
That's right, yeah. Natalia had one with Ruby on it,
And
correct. Forgot about that.
that's the table that Ruby was eventually put through.
That's right.
Um, and then of course Natty had her dad's jacket on and wore the sunglasses after the
Mm-hmm.
match. That was very well done. And I have to give them props again for booking another well done finish with the babyface payoff. That was very well done. Um, because a lot of people have been complaining about the heels getting heat, way too much the last month or so. I've seen that all over the place, whether it's Twitter or on the message boards. And I thought they did another good job of paying off and getting the babyface victory there. Yeah, it was well done.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can get frustrating when there's too much heel dominance on television, but if there's a payoff for it, then it all makes sense in the end, you
Right,
know?
exactly. Yep. I sort of feel the same way.
So, we kind of got that here, definitely. Alright, next match. Finn Balor against Drew McIntyre. And, this match had the potential to be a match that could have, been one of the best matches on the show. And it was a really good match. And probably up to this point, it was the best thing on the show. Um, Drew McIntyre looks amazing right now. I mean, that dude is he's in just a physical freakish condition. Of course, Balor's always in tremendous shape, but man, Drew is just on another level as far as fit. I saw this one picture somebody tweeted out. I don't know if it was a WWE photo or what of Drew when he had Balor uh, on his arms, and just the muscles on McIntyre, and just the way he's toned up. Jesus Christ, the guy is just amazing. And definitely a very strong match here. Like I said, Dolph Ziggler shows up, super kicks Drew, and then Drew goes after him. And then Ziggler had the chair. McIntyre got it. Balor tried to kick the chair into his face. Then Balor hit the coup de grace, got the pin. So Drew does another pinfall job, although in this case, like the other one with Dolph, I mean, there was, questions around it. So Drew's done 2 jobs in just a few weeks here, but still, they weren't clean as a sheet jobs per se. So, but Balor needed the win. So this is one of those things where you had to get Balor some type of win, and this was the best way of doing it. And they put some heat on Dolph too, and they had something later which we'll talk about. So to set up, something between those two. But yeah, and I think Drew also jobbing makes sense because I kind of think Drew's probably won the Rumble. So your thoughts on the match and the future of Drew McIntyre?
Match was very good. I think Finn Balor has become one of the stronger. I don't think he's one of the best workers on the roster really at all, but I do think he's a strong worker, and I think he's somebody you can rely on to have good matches on pay-per-views, most of the time. And Drew McIntyre is awesome. I've gotten to really get behind Drew again in the last month or so. I think he's really, really good. So yeah, I really enjoyed this match a good deal. I hate Dolph Ziggler, and I wasn't too thrilled when he came out, but it did make sense. And McIntyre was protected, although I wish he would have won. But I think you made a decent case that Balor does need a win. It's definitely a good thing for Balor to get a win here. So yeah, this was a good match for sure. And as far as the McIntyre push goes, I think he's definitely a strong candidate to win the Rumble. He's clearly, even in these latest 2 losses, he's been protected with the interference, and otherwise he hasn't taken a pinfall loss. He's won all of his matches. And in pretty dominating fashion. I mean, he sent Kurt Angle home, kayfabe, for 6 weeks or whatever. Which is a big deal. I mean, they really love the guy, right? Absolutely, he was a focal point of that. So McIntyre is definitely a strong contender to win the Rumble this year. I'm excited to see. I'm actually excited to see how all the contenders for both Rumble matches shape up, and maybe we'll have a little bit of a conversation about that here towards the end of the show. But yeah, I definitely think he's a big option.
Because if Braun takes that off Brock at Rumble, which I think is definitely in the cards, because Brock's going to go UFC. Braun and McIntyre Mania, makes a lot of sense. They've already got the built-in story.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, why not? If you're not going to main event Mania with the Raw title match, which looks like they're probably not, then why not?
Right. I agree with you. I think we know what the Mania main event is by now tonight, or at least
somewhere along the way, there's something between certain people. Yes, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But yeah, it looks that way. It could be many different types of ways, but yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But Drew McIntyre gets the win here over Finn. No, Finn Balor gets the win over Drew. Excuse me. All right. Next we get the great chairs match here. Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. I'm going to admit this straight up. I lost complete interest in this match for the bulk of the match. I got to where I was watching more of the football game, Eagles and the Rams, and I was watching this match. And I don't know, chair matches just doesn't do it for me. Ray's in there. But I did see the finish where Orton had the chair set up and teased an RKO, and then Ray walked on the chairs, got the victory roll. So that was a cute finish, but Dave Meltzer said that he thought that this match was one of those matches where the stipulations hurt the match. And I agree. I think if they had to say regular match, it wasn't depending on the chairs, I think it would have been a much better match. So, your thoughts on that and Ray getting the big win over Orton?
Yeah, I actually thought this match was good, but I do think the gimmick hurt it for sure. I actually much prefer a chairs match over a tables match. A tables match drives me nuts. Um, but
Yeah, but the thing is with tables match though is you have to win putting somebody through a
oh yeah,
table.
I know, but
Chairs match is
there's
just there,
right. There's I've seen great chairs matches before. Well, there's one, but that Corbin Callisto match in 2016 was excellent. But
It can be
that
done right. Yes, it
right.
can be done right.
But this did have some really good. I mean, most of with some innovative Ray spots. As Ray always is. The seated senton, the misseated senton into the chair looked like it hurt an area that is not fun to hurt. And the splash to the floor with the chair was awesome too, as well. Yeah, that was a neat finish too. Pretty clever stuff there. But yeah, I mean this match probably went a tad bit too long, maybe 2 to 3 minutes too long as well. And I think a lot of the problem with this one was I don't think it was so much the gimmick as is they could have just I don't know they spent too much time trying to use the chairs as props instead of just using the chairs. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
They could have just wrestled the match and then used the chairs around the match instead of use the match around the chairs basically. Um,
Yeah.
that's kind of the issue with this match, but I did think it was a good match. But I do agree that it was a bit of a plotter at times because plotting because of the gimmick and sitting the chair down and unfolding it and folding it and stuff like that. It definitely can take away at times.
Do you where do you think Ray's gonna and where do you think his plans are here? Where are they gonna go with him?
That's a really good question. You know what I might do with Ray is I might have him have a winter title program with Brian and put Brian over leading into Mania. Just could have great matches. Ray's fresh as a baby face, and people are excited to see him again, and he's relatively over. Since he's been back, I might do a Ray Brian title program. You know,
I mean, that
and
makes a ton of
and
sense.
oh yeah,
It makes a ton of sense
definitely. I think a Ray title program would definitely work.
because I mean, maybe Ray and Samoa Joe. I don't know, but yeah, Ray and Brian definitely in
Joe's
play.
Joe's Joe's entangled with Jeff Hardy right now, so
That's
that would have to
true.
wait. But
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Or
I
I mean, or they could go Ray Nakamura.
right. They could.
So I don't know. But yeah, I like your I like what your point there. I like what you're thinking. So yeah, we'll see. And then AJ Styles, who knows? All right. Next, we get Charlie Caruso interviewing Finn Balor, and we talked about Edge of Christian earlier. Watch Edge of Christian when Charlie Caruso's on the show. Good Lord of mercy. Dolph Ziggler shows up and tells Finn that without him, he wouldn't have won the match. And then Dolph attacked him. So Dolph is Dolph again. And we're going to have Finn and Dolph Monday Night on Raw. So there you go.
Exciting.
Finn-Dolph feud. I know that excites a lot of people on
Really.
wrestling Twitter. Yes. All right. Next we get Ronda Rousey, Nia Jax for the Raw Women's title. As soon as I saw this match was placed here, that screams angle alert for later in the show. I'll tell you what. The match I look forward to the most now on these shows is Ronda Rousey's matches. They're always my favorite matches on the show. She is amazing as a worker, as a rookie. We've talked about this ad nauseum on these shows, how awesome she is. This was another one of those matches. And Nia did a hell of a job in this match as well. The thing about the Ronda matches to me is for the person that might look at wrestling and say, "Oh, this is all just a bunch of fake shit," you know. That this and then this stuff's hurting, and then what they do. You can watch a Ronda match and think this might actually be a shoot because the way the way the matches are, the way she works. She's just amazing at every little thing she does. I said on Twitter that her matches are like if Jerry Lawler and Kiyoshi Tamura had a love child. Just the action of a Tamura, all that stuff, the hitting and the kicking, mixed in with the babyface fire of Lawler and the big spots, the comebacks, the facials. Her that face she makes is like Lawler dropping the strap. You know the shit's on then. And she had a fucking plancha to the floor. It's like a good buddy Eduardo said on Twitter. He's like, that's one of those Io del Santo Apuestas matches, planchas to the floor, for God's sake. She just broke stuff out here. The flying arm bars, the power bomb out of the corner, and then the finishing arm bar sequence. My God. And she kissed the hand before she locked it up right into Mina's face. And then the way she just torqued Nia's arm. Jesus Christ. Oh. Tremendous stuff. I love this match. I love this match tremendously. This is an amazing, amazing match. And Ronda's on a roll right now. Then after the match, Nia was walked backstage, saw her arm, and then Becky got in her face. And, Becky promised earlier in the show she was going to hand out some receipts. And so she punched an injured Nia in the face and put her in the lockers. So there's one of them. Taking advantage of poor Nia. But, what are your thoughts about this whole segment, man? Because I just thought this was fucking awesome.
Oh, this match was excellent. Tremendous match. Ronda's the best rookie in the history of the company.
Over Kurt Angle.
Sure. Yes, at this point, yes, absolutely. Part of it, in defense of a little bit in defense of Kurt. His rookie year was in the Attitude Era. Now in 2000, when the Radicals came in, work rate started to become a thing again, but Kurt still didn't really explode into into the Kurt Angle that we know as a wrestler until 2001 with the Austin feud and stuff. It was more character work for Kurt that year with the Triple H feud and stuff. But Ronda is the best rookie in the history of the company. She's got everything down: selling, offense, charisma, timing, big moments, big spots, mat work, fighting for holds, making things real. As much as I shit on the guy, she's very similar to Brock in terms of they have the same vibe. Your heart's racing when you're watching the match because you don't know what's going to happen next, because she has that shoot vibe to her matches. With her MMA background, that's kind of what happens with with these guys and girls. They make things seem real. Yeah, she's awesome. I really loved the beginning of the match when Nia was trying to bully her and use her strength, and Ronda was getting a face shine by just finding all these crazy different ways to get her in holds and shit. God, it was amazing. And I have to give Nia credit for basing very well on all that stuff and make it look really good. Her basing was very good. Um, and then of course, Nia took control with when she was just slung Ronda and fucking slung her into the barricade. Like there was a spot where she did the running charge onto Ronda's arm into the ring post, which was violent as hell. Um, they had some awesome near falls that they built to and had towards the end of the match. With the Samoan drop near fall and the power bomb near fall. Um, and I also liked how the power bomb was a counter to the Super Samoan drop, which Nia won her first title with, and the commentary did a good job of mentioning. So that was a nice callback to a previous match. Yeah, this was an awesome match, and like you said, the finish was awesome. I loved how they kept up. They kept teasing Nia getting hitting her punch, and that in a way that really kind of affected Nia that she never got to hit that, because you sort of believed that if she hit that, that might have been it for Ronda. And I don't know if this was intentional, but or at least I guess from our point of view, when Ronda Rousey gets hit in the face, it's never too good for Ronda. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
in a way that might be sort of a fan invention there, but I kind of like the idea of Ronda knows, oh shit, if I get hit with that, I'm fucked. So I sort of like that aspect as well. And the finish, like you mentioned, with her mocking Tamina, and this was one of her better arm bars too. She really put this in, because a lot of times it doesn't bother me because I get it. She's protecting her opponent. Some people it really bothers, but a lot of times her arm bar looks pretty safe. You know what I mean? Like, but this time she really locked this sucker in, or at least made it seem like she did, and that was a great finish, great match. The post match was awesome. Becky doing her Stone Cold Becky deal where she comes up to Nia and punches her in the face, pushes her into the locker, and says, keep my name out of your mouth."
Yeah.
That to me, that was, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I sort of got the idea that Nia got her title match, and because she never got her title match, and you may or may not have had some heat for knocking Becky's lights out, and she might get a
It
bit
changed the
of.
company though.
It did. It did. It did. It absolutely
Nia's
did.
made. See, here's the thing. Folks, think about this. Who's Nia's family?
Oh no,
The
I know.
the
I
Rock.
know.
I see people, and I'm not saying you. I
I
see
know.
people on Twitter talk about,
No,
oh, Nia's in danger of losing
but
her job.
but I
Bullshit.
don't think she's in danger of losing her job, but I do think she's in danger of going home and whining like a 2-year-old that she's done twice. Which is true. I mean,
Yeah,
hasn't she gone home and pouted
she's
twice? But
yeah.
I'm kind of attacking her a little bit, because she's she has been very good. This last month since the punch.
Oh, I think they got more stuff for her. I mean, I think her and
I,
Becky's going to have a match.
I think they probably will, maybe, but I think they'll at least have a showdown in the Rumble match itself. I will say that.
Well, we'll talk about Becky and stuff after the main event, because I have a theory in mind. So we'll talk about it in the in the main event. But
I'm just not sure what they're going to do with Nine now that I don't know. I mean, this shakeup deal is going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see.
that's what I'm leaning for. I think we're going to get something. Something's going to happen. Let's put it
Right,
that way.
right.
I could be absolutely wrong, But I think something's gonna happen, and we'll talk about it after the main event. So yeah, we'll hit that up then. We'll hit the Becky, Ronda, Nia, Charlotte whole dynamic after that. All right. Next match. WWE Heavyweight Title. The new Daniel Bryan defending against AJ Styles. Daniel Bryan has transformed himself into a heel character based on a lot of stuff he believes in real life. So of course, when you got that situation going on, he should excel at it, and he has. He's really done a great job in turning into a heel character when people thought it couldn't happen. It did, and the fans are booing him, which nobody thought would happen, but it's happening. This was a hell of a match, which between these two should be expected. This is probably AJ Styles' best match of the year, and probably Bryan's too. And one of the best matches in the company. Just a tremendous big match style match. They built it up. It went from the to the the mental side of those, cranked it up to the physical side of things. It built as it went along. They used body part work, those submissions. I did love that now the Yes Lock is back to being the LaBelle Lock, so that's good. AJ got the Craft Crush on, and Bryan was tremendous selling that whole deal and getting out of it. AJ hitting the phenomenal form off the Timekeeper's table was great on the floor. Yeah, this was really getting good, and I thought the finish was great too. AJ going for Bryan's patented small package, and then Bryan reversing it and getting the win. Great. I mean, that's total heel Daniel Bryan, who also is wearing all black tonight for the first time in a long time. So, yeah, this was pretty damn awesome. So, your thoughts on this? I know you think Bryan's going to work Rey Mysterio, hopefully in a few, but what do we do with AJ? Where's he go now? So, your thoughts?
Yeah, this match was real good. I think my favorite part was they went through this whole match and work rate match and went back and forth and had these close near falls and submission counters, and then Bryan won with a fucking inside cradle. Like, that's brilliant though. I mean, I'm not burying it. It's just brilliant. It's a brilliant finish to have Bryan win with a by reversing an inside cradle. Like, it's just total. It's total brilliance. This Daniel Bryan run. I've always I tweeted this out earlier before the show after the promo that he had on the WWE Now YouTube show. That was tremendous. Was posted all over the internet. He's always reminded me of Foley. He's very much Foley to me. In terms of how he got over organically with the fans as a comedy babyface, and then sort of. He was sort of, gets the machine and had the, finally got the big win and whatever, very much a Mick Foley type character. And here's another Foley here's another Foley comparison again. This heel turn in his own way, mind you, not the exact same, clearly not, but in his own way, he's really, the promo sort of reminded me of like 1995 Cactus Jack.
Oh, there's a lot of similarities there. I agree.
with his saying he was going to take the leather wrap off the WWE title, and I can't remember what ridiculous shit he said, but in the promo, I don't know if you saw the promo, but he said he was going to change the
I saw
change the strap on the belt.
I could definitely see him doing that shit.
But that was a brilliant promo, and this was
it's gonna be made out of hemp.
Yes, that's it. This was a very, very good match. I actually don't think this feud's over with, which kind of makes me question my idea of a Ray feud, because that's a little bit more fantasy booking, but I do think it makes sense. The Ray feud at least. I'm afraid I don't want this AJ feud to go too long. They've tended to do that lately with these programs, especially on SmackDown, where AJ feuded with Nakamura for a million months and Joe for a million months. I'm afraid this will go on too long. That's my fear. My fear is this will go on to Fastlane in March, which is terrifying to think of. Not to say that their matches won't be great, but I don't like that. I think it's time to move on. I think they should have a big match on TV. Remember, they don't do this as much anymore. They do big angles at the beginning of the year now, but they used to have feud enders at the beginning of the year. Back late, in the late 2000s and early this decade, they had feud enders on the first week of the year. I think it would be a good time to do that again with AJ and Bryan. Let them have a stip match or something on the first week and just sort of get it over with. I want to see AJ back in the Rumble and be a contender for it. I don't think he'd win, but I just kind of want to see AJ to be in the Rumble match in that setting, and I don't know. I mean, I think he'll get a big Mania match. I don't know against who yet, but I just kind of want to see. I think he'll probably be in the Rumble match. I'm going to stick with that for now. I think the Bryan feud isn't over, but I think they'll end it by the Rumble, and then I think AJ will have a good showing in the Rumble match, and maybe they'll do an angle there to set up his Mania program. But I kind of think that they're going to move somewhere else with Bryan eventually, and hopefully. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I like this feud, but I have a fear that it could go on too long. So I'm sort of 50-50 now that I think about it. I know I'm sort of talking myself into some things, but I'm sort of 50-50 on this feud going on till March, or Bryan goes on to somebody, whether it's Ray or Jeff Hardy or somebody else, and AJ kind of has a good Rumble showing and moves on to somebody else for Mania. But I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go, but I don't think this feud is quite over. I will say that.
You know, I never thought about this until just now as you're talking. I wonder if they try to bring Cena in and do Bryan Cena.
They might, and I think that makes sense, and I think they very well might because Cena's coming back at the first of the year. They've already announced that he's got his dates announced and stuff.
Hopefully with a haircut.
Yes, please God, John, please God, get a haircut.
He's got that JBL
that's
hair
a nightmare, dude. We get it. You and Nikki Bella broke up. Get over it. But I mean, he's in a total midlife crisis. But yeah, I think that's very possible, and I'd never thought of that, and I actually think that might be what happens, Chris. I think that might be it, and I actually hope it's at the Rumble. I hope they do Bryan Cena at the Rumble for the title. I really want to see that. At Chase Field, that would be awesome.
But you know what the ultimate Bryan match down the road is if they keep him this heel character, and if everything works out as we hope. Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns.
Oh my gosh!
With the new Daniel Bryan character and Roman Reigns come back from leukemia.
Oh my gosh! Please.
Oh my Lord. Oh, who knows down the line what might happen there, but there's a lot of potential for sure. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. All right, after this match, Charlie was back there with Ronda, Natalya, and Charlie asked Ronda about the shit going on, and Ronda told Charlotte that Payback's a bitch and she's the baddest one on the planet. There you go, ding 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 ding, angle alert. So we got that to look forward to. All right, next we get Seth Rollins defend the Intercontinental title against Dean Ambrose. This was something else.
Oh man! Oh man! I'm sorry. I fell asleep there for a second, Chris. What were you saying?
I tell you what, this feud's been something else. Dean has shown flashes in this new character of being a really great heel. He cut a really great heel promo on Raw, but the shit like the shots in the ass, the doctor's office, and some of that silly shit he's done, and the fact that basically Seth on the Raw before the go home, the Raw the go home show before TLC was all about Corbin and on Ambrose was definitely weird. I mean, they did a shitty job of really trying to get people into this match, in my opinion. And it showed. I know they followed Brian and AJ. I know that, but Seth Rollins is a guy who's always over with the fans, and they're always into his matches. But man, they were not into this shit, and the match was long, and they were doing all that fucking bullshit. And that was why I asked the question on Twitter.
God.
I asked, was Shawn Michaels involved in the age in this match? Because it felt like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, talking in the ring and all this bullshit going on there, and Seth, Dean talking to himself, and this is for Roman, Seth saying that, and all the drama going on there, and then you had the commentary, which I thought was the most intriguing part of the whole thing, because the way Cole and Graves was just badgering Renee was going more and more towards Ambrose. She didn't fully pull the trigger or anything, but she's slowly going that direction, which makes me wonder if they're going to actually do the full thing and have her actually become the full-fledged Dean supporter. But this was something else. You would think that with the stuff that these two have done, that this match would have been a complete fight, but no, it was long and tedious, which they have a habit of doing in some of these feuds. And I don't know what it is about Shield versus Shield, but there's not the best track record of matches between the Shield guys against each other. So, wow. And this feud definitely is going to continue, folks. I mean, Ambrose wins the title, so we are not done here. So I hope to God that the next match they have is going to be one of those violent matches, that's got a lot of heat in it. The complete opposite of this one, because this was like Ambrose Jericho level here of tediousness. So now that you maybe have woke back up, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I just yawned, so maybe not. But this match sucked. It sucked, man. It stunk. It was boring, like the crowd chanted audibly.
Yes, they did. This is boring.
It was. It sucked. This feud has sucked. It's garbage. It's the worst thing going on the damn entire roster. Seriously, other than maybe Jake Maverick's pee gimmick. It sucks. It's awful. They just did a bunch of fucking moves and kicked out of each other's shit, and then it mercifully ended after 4 or 5 hours, or God knows how long the match was. Felt that way. It was probably more like 20 or 25 minutes, but that's way too long.
It went 23 minutes.
God, I was basically right. Yeah, that match sucked. Ugh, it was bad. And it didn't help that the show was long, but it made the show feel longer. It just made it feel even longer than it was, and it was a long show. This match sucked. And I've been waiting 3 weeks to see the damn TLC main event, and I had to sit through this shit for 25 minutes. It sucked. That's my take on it.
There you go. So we'll see what happens now. They could have one of those Raw matches like the Christmas Eve Raw where they do some crazy shit or something like that.
They had a great Falls Count Anywhere match after SummerSlam 2014 where they did the angle where Dean got because he went to go film the Marine or whatever, and he got they did the curb stomp through the cinder blocks. Remember that?
Yeah, don't they normally do that on Christmas, like street fight?
They do some wacky shit. They're doing double tapings tomorrow and Tuesday. So maybe on the Christmas Eve double taping tomorrow, they'll have a no DQ whatever. So
Miracle on 34th Street Fight or some
yeah,
shit like
there you
that.
go. Maybe get Orton and Otunga in there too. It's a classic, folks.
Yes. Oh man. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, not encouraging. That's for sure. All right, main event time. And then like you said, this show is already running long as it is. And Becky, Charlotte, Asuka, TLC match, SmackDown Women's Title. I tell you what, this they had all the the gimmicks and they used them very well. But in the women, they're going to bring that intensity anyway, so that and these gimmicks, ramps up even more. And they were just doing a lot of wild shit, man. A lot of wild shit. Charlotte was just all over the place, man. I mean, between taking bumps and just taking punishment, that the Becky cannonball off the ladder to the table was crazy because her ass hit all Charlotte's ribs, and that looked like that hurt like hell. The way the table was placed, the way the ladder was placed, it was a recipe for disaster. And I'm sure Charlotte definitely is going to be feeling that in the morning. But she kept going though, and she was fighting like a motherfucker. Just very intense stuff. The spear that she gave Asuka to the timekeeper's deal, that was crazy. I mean, they were going balls to the wall, man. And props to them. Props to the women, man. They go out there and they put it all on the line in these types of matches. And the fans are definitely into Becky. And they were into Charlotte and they were into Asuka. And the women just gave them everything they wanted. They beat the shit out of each other. Kendo sticks. I mean, definitely deserved to be in this slot. Because it delivered on everything that you wanted. And then the reason why I was in this slot more than anything else, though, is because we got to finish. Charlotte and Becky on the ladder trying to fight for the belt. Here comes Ronda. Power walking to the ring, and she gets in the ring, grabs the ladder, and both of them go flying off of it. Ronda walks out, in and out quickly, and then Asuka gets on the ladder, gets the belt. She's a new champion. Crowd was booing Rousey, but folks, this ain't no heel turn. So don't think that Ronda's turned heel, not yet at least. So no heel turn yet, but it's that Ronda's getting payback on the two people that's been talking shit. So that's exactly what it was. So now this frees up Charlotte and Becky to both be in the Women's Rumble, unless they do something with Asuka against one of them at the Rumble. And we got the build for Charlotte and Becky and Ronda, possibly in a three-way at Mania. Possibly Ronda against Becky at Mania. Ronda at Charlotte versus Charlotte Mania. Or even the match that one is going to happen eventually. And who knows when. Mania may be too early. Horsewomen versus horsewomen will happen sometime in 2019. You can bank on that one. So
I'm thinking Evolution.
That would make sense. Either that or SummerSlam.
Yes.
So that's something to look forward to. So we will have that happening soon enough. But this was a spectacle. This is what a TLC main event should have been. Now, I talked about this earlier. My theory, and I'll see where you stand on this. I think either Charlotte or Becky, one of the two, is going to end up on Raw Monday night. Because there's too much going on between them and the Raw women, between Ronda and Nia. One of them has to be on Raw. That's where all their heat's at. We mentioned this on the last show. All their heat's on the opposite show. So one or both of them have to move over the Raw.
Right.
It just has to happen. You can't keep one or both of them on SmackDown. Somebody, at least one of them's got to go. Now, I don't know who you switch off, but it's got to happen. So, I mean, what your thoughts on the match and my theory on regarding the Raw shakeup?
Match was great. When they first, the first few minutes were great. When they first started using the props and stuff, I thought it was a little shaky.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't say this, and I want to get your thoughts on this.
Okay.
You know, we've been watching this type of shit happen for years now, and I'm kind of over all the whole TLC stuff. I am, and it's just kind of the same shit. You know, sometimes you get some new things, and it wasn't that this match had any really new things. It's just the way they worked the match made it stand out. But it's really gotten to the point where, you know, do we really need this anymore? Let's see. So keep going. You keep going
Right.
with your
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I think my biggest problem with this stuff is it always takes. Sometimes it's awkward and takes too long to set shit up. Although I thought they did an excellent job of it in the second half of the match, or really the last three-fourths. But when they first started using the props, it was really shaky. Like when Becky was audibly calling the spot and telling Asuka to bring you should bring it closer, bring it closer. She said it 3 or 4 times, so she could take
Yes.
the military press on the ladder, which looked brutal. Um, yeah, I mean, but otherwise, once they kind of got, I think it was more of a okay. Once I think they got the flow going and the pace going, they really picked it up and it got awesome and they tore into each other and it became like a chaotic fight, which is what these matches should feel like, and it did. And Charlotte, that leg drop
Oof.
ass
It
smash.
was ass, basically.
I mean, all of Becky's
Lower
body
body.
weight just
Yeah.
went right into Charlotte's ribs.
Cannonballed her, man.
I mean, it wasn't like, oh, she hit her and then went to the table. Oh no, she hit her. The table didn't break, so she takes all the impact, and then it finally breaks.
And Charlotte audibly I mean, she cursed. It bleeped her. I mean, that had to fucking hurt.
Yes, that had to have. And then Charlotte, the spear on Asuka. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's because they're a little bit lighter than the men, or something was behind the barricade. But something stopped them from going all the way through that barricade, and that had to have hurt Charlotte and Asuka badly on that one.
Oh yeah.
That had to hurt like a motherfucker for both. Like that looked
Oh yeah.
absolutely brutal. Um, yeah, this match got really awesome. And was awesome and great, and they did a great job teasing finishes and stuff like that. And each lady got a chance to shine and kick ass. Um, Ronda's power walk is fun, but it's also completely ridiculous that she power walked instead of ran to the ring. Um, but I mean, that's like a minor, pet peeve quibble, but it's just funny. Like Ronda, like okay, hurry up, Ronda. Like she's over here power walking. I don't know. It just sort of looks weird. Um, but she pushes him over, and so we've got that going on now. Oscar got an awesome pop. This was excellently booked. This was very, 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 very well done. This whole show was booked quite well, actually. Um, this, I think they realized, and they do this rarely. They realize this thing rare. They figure things out rarely, but I think they figured out, if Oscar wins, the fans are going to be happy because they love Oscar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think they realized, oh, people aren't going to boo, you know, Asuka if she wins the belt, especially if Ronda interferes. And they were right. Asuka got when they realized Asuka was winning that match, San Jose went unglued. That place fucking lost it. Like the pop she got, like when everyone realized, like not even when she took the belt down, but it was like when everyone realized she was going to win. That was one of the loudest pops I've heard all year. Like it was a pretty big pop. So I'm definitely happy for Asuka. She definitely is going to be a good champion, and I'm happy to see that she has won the belt. Before we talk about where people might go in this Raw shakeup deal that's going to happen tomorrow, or whatever the hell's happening tomorrow, I want to talk about who Asuka's got lined up for.
Nobody.
I don't know if you'll have a thing with Becky or Charlotte. Maybe. I kind
Well, if
of
one of
doubt
them
it.
stays there, yeah.
Right. Yeah, right. If one of them stays, sure. But you know what? There's one lady they've been protecting recently, and I'm happy to see it because she's one of the more improved wrestlers this year in the company. Sonya Deville. They're protecting her.
It could. I mean, that it
Now, I'm not
could.
saying that's going to happen, but now I don't think she'd win the title.
No, but it
But
could.
I could see her, get a title match down the line. I mean, they are protecting her. They're protecting her pretty well on TV. She lost that battle royal, but that was a battle royal match. You know what I mean? Like she hasn't taken a pinfall in like a month or two. She's been very well protected since a little bit before Survivor Series, and I think they're starting to become a fan of hers. So she's someone to look towards to in terms of an Asuka matchup in the future, and they have very good chemistry. They had very good chemistry in the Battle Royal. I think Asuka had what was like a handicap match against Sonya and Mandy several months ago that was real good. Um, she's got great chemistry with Asuka, and I'd be interested to see that match. But um, yeah, I'm interested to see what Asuka has in plan because I'm very happy to see her with the championship, and she's going to be a good champion. But there's kind of some big question marks about where they go with her as champion at the same time. As far as Becky and Charlotte go, I think Vince's involvement definitely will correlate with the ladies and what happened tonight. I'm not sure what exactly is going to happen, but um, I think we're going to see both Charlotte and Becky on Raw tomorrow. Not necessarily think both will stay there going forward, but I think we'll see both of them tomorrow. I think they're both going to be pissed off because of Ronda's interference, and I think they'll both be there, and so that'll create an interesting segment. I think we're going to see Vince in the ring with the ladies for the first time.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting to see,
Yeah.
won't it? Because that's usually Stephanie's deal. Now, don't get me wrong, Stephanie might be involved, but I think we might see Vince in the ring with the ladies for the first time.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an interesting deal. I think this is going to be an interesting segment. So I think that's something to look forward to for tomorrow. I think, I do agree that I think we'll probably get Becky Nia, and I have to say that I did work myself into a shoot a little bit about Nia, but she's been very good lately. Yeah, I don't want to rag on her too much. And I do think she's always been made, because of her lineage and whatnot and her heritage, but she's also good. Um, and I do think there's a possible chance Nia gets moved over to SmackDown or something like that. There could be repercussions for both shows tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
Maybe. I mean, Nia's going to SmackDown. I mean, unless Becky stays on SmackDown, that's something that makes sense.
Right, absolutely. Yep, that's true. That's very true.
Now, I mean, I wonder if I know she's kind of not cleared to do any wrestling, but I wonder if they don't try to move Alexa over to SmackDown or something like that. I mean, they got to have They got to have somebody be a lead heel on SmackDown. Iconics just
Yes.
aren't doing it. And
They're not
Sonya
good
and Mandy, enough. I mean, They're good.
Sonya can be good enough eventually, and I like Mandy, but Sonya's the one I think to look at. But she's getting protected and she's getting better, but she's she's in the process of being built up. It's what I mean. She's still not that over. It's she's got some time before she can really become somebody that's going to be able to help that brand.
Yeah. So who knows? We'll see. Raw's gonna be interesting. That's definitely gonna be the case. All right. Thumbs down, thumbs up, thumbs in the middle. Where do you fall on the show?
I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. I thought this was a very good show, actually, and very well booked. It's just the length was the biggest negative. I mean, really, the biggest negative, was a negative was that atrocity of a match with Ambrose and Rollins. But I mean, otherwise, other than the length, this show is very good. Definitely a thumbs up.
Yeah, overall, I agree. The women's matches made it that way. I mean, Brian and AJ was again one of the best matches of the year, as far as the guys. But the women have taken it to a whole new level lately on these shows. Man, they've kicked ass the whole way. So yeah, man, they make this show a thumbs up for damn sure. All right, so that's it for us for 2018. We'll be back in 2019 to discuss the Royal Rumble and
Chase Field, baseball
Arizona
field.
Diamondback Stadium. So that should be quite the spectacle, no doubt. So be watching out for that then. All right, Devin, thank you for all the great shows we've done in 2018, and we'll continue in 2019.
Absolutely.
This
Thank
is
you,
Kris,
bud.
and so long from the Peach State of Georgia.